Right. So yesterday you had an introduction session to your new SharePoint space, and this session builds on top of that and moves more into the more practical portions of that, the overall training for the 2019 space. So to very quickly cover, just to recap what you went through yesterday. You spoke very briefly about, an introduction into, why are we doing this move? Why is it important, to upgrade to 2019? And, why was this whole project kicked off? There was a whole section on that. There was an introduction to SharePoint 2019 as a product, a bit of a rundown of what the page layouts look like and how to customize bits and pieces. There was a bit of a conversation around where data lives, and where documents go, and hopefully how we make sure that they don't end up in a black hole. And then a bit of a walkthrough of SharePoint terms and terminology. So all of that was covered in yesterday's session. So we're going to build on that today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the more practical aspects. Firstly, how do you get to your new site? And then we're going to talk about how to upload content, remove content, change views, create new views that you might need, and so on and so forth. How to update metadata. We're going to talk about authoring and editing and co-authoring documents. We're going to show you where the version history is going to be. How to get to version control and version history for a document. We're going to talk briefly about search, basic site customizations, and then we're going to have a bit of a Q&A spot at the end of that. So is everybody ready? Let's get going. So, oopsie, I went too fast. When you get onto the site, we're going to walk through that in just a second. You're going to land on your homepage, your landing page, and you're going to walk through to the HR site, or whichever other site that you're looking for from the menu. And just a quick recap of what you're going to see based on yesterday's session. So you can see that you have a menu down the left-hand side. You have a banner image. You have a search box. You have a section, it's called a news component, which has been connected to Learning Center information, where you're going to find tutorials and videos and all that kind of stuff. There is a small section for often used navigation links on the page, and then also the documents you worked on most recently. Those are all going to pop up on the front page for you. So we are going to do that in the next section of the demo. So just a note, please keep in mind the link to your site will be in your email communications. That's the first way to get to your space. Secondly, there is a link on S-Connect that points to the new SharePoint space. And lastly, if you are working from home, please make sure that your VPN is connected. Make sure that you are connected to the company network before you try and access your SharePoint 2019 space. Otherwise, you will get all kinds of strange errors saying that it doesn't exist and so on and so forth. You have to be on the network in order to get to those pages. Okay, so we are going to stop that at this point, and we're going to hop over to the landing page for your space. So when you open that link from S-Connect, or when you open the link from your email, you're going to land on this page. This will be the overall landing page for your SharePoint space. You can see there are a couple of components here that are waiting to run. You've got a link to the SA intranet, your S-Connect space. You've got a link to the US intranet. There's a link to SharePoint guides in the Learning Center, and bits and pieces of additional information. Here's a news component, and so on and so forth, that you can actually go through, and each page will have components like these that are important to that page. What we are going to do is we're going to navigate from here to your HR space. So I'm going to go to Business Units, Human Resources. And here we are on your HR landing page. And excuse me. Wow, frog in my throat. As it was with the primary landing page, you have bits and pieces that, web parts that can be updated with information that's important to your space, that is value to you directly. You have, yet again, links to the Learning Center content. This will stay here for a little while after you've launched, just to make sure that everybody has enough time to get completely up to scratch and comfortable with the space. And after that, you can decide if you want to, update this with more specific news to your area, or whether you want to keep the Learning Center content. Your links are here as it was on the landing page. Latest documents that you've that have been added or worked on in the space. The names of people to contact in if you need anything for the space. And yet again, latest, what you would expect to see. I was working on this document earlier today, so it'll come through in my latest activity, and so on and so forth. Then down the left-hand side, we have all the menu items for the libraries that have been created. Now, as I'm sure, I think it was Dirk that did yesterday's session, as he would have explained to you, containers are set up specifically to manage specific categories of information. So for instance, if there is a category of information that requires some kind of special care, like POPI data, for instance, that container gets set up with information, to carry that classification of information, and it gets set up so that safeguards can be put on that library so that you can protect that special classification of data. You also will have containers set up, obviously the idea of having a category of information in a specific container, that's going to carry all the way through. And we're going to be using the meetings library, I think, for our demo. So we're going to hop over to that in just a second.